We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Raising Our Gifted Children right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my wonderful repeat guest, who's also going to be a part of our Forgotten Children series book, is Novelette P. Bowen, known as kind of Ruby, the Ruby's foster care mom. Boy, I mean, this is a woman who has stepped up into foster caring boys, specifically boys. That's become her thing. And she's even adopted one or two of them along the way as well. And, you know, one thing she said in our last show, which I do invite you to go back and listen to, is how she had a foster child of 16 years old who had never been hugged. Can you imagine going through your life of never having arms around you, loving arms around you and hugging you? I can't imagine that. But she is a foster mom who is inspired to help reshape the educational landscape for youth and foster care one youth at a time, and for them to become educationally empowered and to live their dreams because it is possible. She wishes for them to share their stories to educate the public and communities about their circumstances because they matter and their stories matter. And it's meant to be told to get them to help all the help that they need. Only 1 in 5 read at grade level. Only 1 in 10 are grade level in math. And power is igniting the massive. Sharing advanced community awareness, no changes will happen without awareness and participation. That's why it's important for her to share these stories and for them to gain their skills and for them to have a transformational life ahead of the time. You know, if we don't invest in our children, folks, we end up with dysfunctional children later on, or dysfunctional adults. It's really essential that we do invest in our youth. We've just seen that another horrific shooting of children being taken away from us too soon. We see so many children like educational cuts all the time. But when we see things like war being empowered, let's put less emphasis on the battle and look to the battle of our children and what they're going through. And foster care children do go through a great deal. Welcome back, my darling. It's so good to have you back here again.
Thank you for having me, Sarah. Happy to be back.
You know, when people dedicate their lives to a particular cause, and we talked about this in your first show of why it was so important for you to really focus in on the boys, because a lot of people, when they foster, they take both sexes, but for you it was the boys. Let's just give a brief reason of why you chose to help the boys.
I chose boys because, one, you find a lot of people, especially in foster care, who believe they are much harder to manage. They are more problematic, somewhat fear of, non-compliance and aggressions and behaviors and issues. So people tend to have a fear and feel that girls are more easier to manage. They're females, they're more relatable. We could have more, But for me, there's a deep desire in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm a mommy of 3 boys. And a grandma of 3 boys.
Wow, bravo. I'm grandma of 1.
I just felt that attachment in my spirit, just attach and gravitate to young men and working with them. And likewise, their spirit gravitate to me and we just get along fine.
Mm-hmm.
As a foster mom, I don't have like a husband in home who says, okay, so we have 2 parents, so we will try boys. I try boys on my own as a single foster mom. And it's a wonderful ride. It's a wonderful ride.
Yes, and a lot to take on your own. But, I commend you for doing that. And, assumptions that, boys are going to be more violent than girls, is balderdash because there's a lot of girls with a lot of aggression. But also, why does a kid, play up? And a lot of the time they feel neglected. They feel thrown away. They feel unloved, or they cannot articulate how they feel. And, this is very, very evident. And so we really do need to kind of show our boys that we do care. It isn't about the machoism, about the toughness and suck it up. Let's shower them with the love and empower them and let them know that they can be loved. Because a lot of them, that's the reason why they go to the gangs and they go to everyone else to show them attention, because they're looking to belong.
Exactly. And then we have to look to the future, because somewhere up the road, they're going to be someone's dad. They're going to be someone's wife. They're going to be an uncle. They're going to be grandparent. And how do we transform what is required of us to fill those roles if we did not get the skills or learn the skills or even know what affection is? How do we pass that on? And that's the recycling of generation and dysfunction. So it is very important, as you said, to help them at this stage, that up the road they don't become broken men.
Yeah.
Because they move from a broken boys and become broken men who are expected to deliver what they don't have to deliver, and what women want from them, their wives want from them, their girlfriend wants from them. And because of that struggle and unable to, we got to hide somewhere else. So the aggression comes, and there come domestic violence and abuse.
Exactly. A perpetual cycle that we see because we're not addressing things at the root cause. And the root cause, let's look at a foster child. For whatever reason, they're given up. It's a sense of abandonment to a child, right? Yes. Whether they've been torn away from their parent, whether the parent had to give them up, whatever it is, they are torn away from something they know. Now, it might have been a violent atmosphere that they're torn away from, but until they can feel safe with you or with anyone else that's looking after them, that we really have to show them that we care, we're listening, and we're there for them. And that takes a little time to build up, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, it does. It really does, because it's a trust factor. Because I've done it before and I was hurt, so I have to protect me. So it's going to take a while. And one thing you have to learn to do, never to take it personal, because it's never about you.
Yeah.
Never take it personal, one day at a time. You don't have to get a response to everything you say. Like I often tell my boys, I love you. And I don't wait to get a response that I love you, Ma, because I know you're me. Because it's going to come. It's going to come. Because I've seen it happen over the years of working with them and having that relationship, and just be there for them. Because along their journey, sometimes they realize as they go along that their wish and their desires to be back with their birth mom, it's not going to happen. So just be there for them when they fall, and when they realize and have to accept that apology that they know they'll never get.
Yes.
And that they're going to have to figure out their way, and this is what life is going to be for me. So just be there for them. And that's the most important thing, just to be transparent, be honest, be open, and have no expectations, and just be there for them and support them.
Some people think, you've got to get them tough love, and love shouldn't have to be tough. Tough and love shouldn't kind of go together as far as I'm concerned. It's teaching boundaries, it's teaching respect, it's teaching self-value, because from self-value comes self-love. And when they can learn to love themselves, then they can learn to love others truthfully.
Yes, teaching them to understand, teaching them how to process their experience, and all the abilities that may lie in their experience, why they end up this way. Teach them how to be hopeful. Teach them about a future. Teach them about your life belongs to you. It's a canvas. What someone paints of you, that's their picture. You have the power to create yours. And how do we transition? And that's what I focus on a lot with my boys, and helping them to process their situation and what they're going through, and hearing them. Listening is very key. In listening, hearing what they hear, what they see, what they believe, and what they understand, and how do they decide to move forward with what their beliefs are.
Yes. It's we have done far too much through the age, whether it's foster children or children in general, of expecting them kind of when they reach the age of 18, they're now adults and we can speak to them. Up until then, though, they've got to do everything we tell them, and we don't want to hear them.
Exactly. And we, and because of the system and the way it's set up, you protect them, and they have to be constantly being supervised. Not that they don't need supervised, but you got to teach them and give them skills, because they're transitioning into adulthood, and they're going to need those skills as they move forward in order to prepare to take on the everyday challenges of life.
Exactly. If we don't prepare our children to listen to themselves from the inside out, to know those intuitive boundaries, no, I am not going there, I know it's not going to be good for me, or how to turn off the negativity that is around them, in how to look at opportunities and possibilities even out of adversity, right? All of those things need to be taught to a child, so that when the reins are handed over to them, they don't suddenly panic and go down the rabbit hole, or, how many times we hear of grade A students suddenly going off the rails. It is teaching the child to fish, to be self-sustainable, to be educated enough to be able to walk into any job, or have that opportunity to get that further education, to stand tall in who they are as a person, with what opportunities they can see in front of them. That's what we are here to do.
Yes, eye contact, believe in themselves.
Yeah.
Ask questions, don't assume. Just ask questions. And that line of communication. I had a foster child who told me once, going through the same process that we're talking about, with him. And he was in a conversation with his clinician, his therapist. And he felt so proud of himself. He said, she could not win. I heard this question and that question, and I'm sorry, but he felt so proud that he could have this conversation with her, and felt adequate that he was a part of the conversation. He was able to present and articulate his feelings and what he was feeling to her. He lit up like a light bulb.
Self-empowerment.
I'm sorry.
Right? That's okay. That's okay. I'm getting over bronchitis myself. So this is what's going around. We're coughing and spluttering. We're still here doing the job, right? Life goes on.
No matter what. No matter what, you have to show up.
Exactly. That empowerment for a child to step into their own. Oops, we've lost you. Can we have it up? Sorry, folks, we had a little hiccup there, but there's one of the things that you posted on your Facebook, which I really think is something that people need to know. Poverty is likely for the 26,000 youth aging out of foster care in the US each year. 42% will not graduate from high school. 97% will not earn a college degree. 50% will be unemployed by the age of 24. 71% of girls will become single moms by 21. 64% of boys will be incarcerated, and 27% will experience homelessness. This is something we have let our kids down. These are the statistics.
Yes, we have. And many people doesn't really pay attention because they look at large foster care. They're in a program, there's in a system, and they're taken care of. And not realizing and paying attention to the numbers and how daunting it is. Because, a lot of people says, and that's part of the statistics, 2%, less than 2% or 3% will earn a college education in their lifetime. That number 2 sounds so small. It's like, okay. But when you look at it, that's 97% will never have a college education in their lifetime. They are one of the most vulnerable subgroup of children that live in the United States of America. They live below the poverty line. And the only way we are going to help them to reshape their destiny, have a better future, is through education. Because education is the trigger and the roots for everything else to come in your life. Because if you cannot read, or you have a diploma in your hand, and you're not at a 12th grade reading level, here you go, you have comprehension problem. Most schools does not, especially alternative programs, does not offer technology skills on the level that the regular curriculum in the regular high school applies it. And what world are we living in? That world we are living in, the world of technology. So how do they survive? How do they live, and how do they thrive?
Exactly. You
Very
know, the other
most
thing we're forgetting is very often a foster child doesn't just go from wherever their home is to a foster home and that's it. They generally go from one to the other,
yeah,
and they lose education. And every time they've got to start anew with a new family, a new school, a new system, which puts so much gaps in their education. And there is so much then the bullying or the low self-esteem. And again, a feeling of just being tossed around like waste. You know, there's so much we have to look after the emotional aspect for the educational aspect to be of value to them.
exactly. Emotional wellness,
Yes.
emotional, because we cannot change what happened, but we can help them to understand it. And I simply looked at my foster son and I'll says to him, I said, you have to bet on you. You must choose the winning hand. Once you choose, then we decide. You choose, you decide. How can I help you and how can I guide you? Because they need that. They
Yes.
truly need.
They
And
need
once
they need to know you're there to empower them, not
yes,
to pick them up or to heal them, but to give them the skills and the tools to find healing of their own. And you know, one of the things that is very hard for anyone to do, but especially I think a child, is to look at the blame and the shame. You know, why was I abandoned? Why was my mom and dad like this? Why am I in this situation in the first place? And you know, it's very hard to answer those questions. And bottom line, what we can say is the system is broken because nobody's taking care of the family unit to help them in that time of crisis. They just kind of pick up the kids rather like trash and throw them off somewhere else, and generally throw the parents in jail. Why are we not looking at the families that are in trouble and saying, how can we help you continue to be a unit? What do you need in order to be strong together? But it's very much a band-aid society, isn't it? And not looking at the root cause.
yes, and that's exactly what it is. And they create all these subsystem and programs, and they put these kids here and they put them there, and they expect with the expectation that that should take care of the problem, but that does not take care of that
No.
problem because that child is still in that vulnerable, psychological, emotional, broken space of wondering, why did I get over here? Why did it happen? Is it my fault? Why my mom doesn't love me? Why she doesn't want? Why she has my brothers and my sisters, but she don't have me? You see, so in order to help that child and to support that child is that personal development, that empowerment, to realize that you can change what is over here, but you are responsible for your future moving forward.
Right.
And it doesn't, whatever age that child is, you are going to have that conversation in a way for that child to comprehend. So they're not too young and they're not too old to have that conversation. Because when we are looking at their age and said, oh, Johnny's 6, I can't talk to Johnny this way. Johnny's way ahead of you because Johnny experienced what you never experienced. Right. And he's over here worried and sick to death. Why nobody wants me? Why nobody loves me? Why am I over the house? Yeah. So you got to talk to him in that way because him responding to you will tell you if he's connecting and he's understanding what you're saying to him. I remember I have this young man, this little boy, he was like no more than 4 years old. And I was doing respite for him. And he brought me a picture and he put it in my lap and he says to me, oh, I want to go to Cocoa Keys with my mom, my dad, and my brother. At that point, what I realized in the conversation later on, yes, that was his family on the paper. The draw, because he was a twin and I didn't know that.
Oh, God, that's even worse.
He has a mom, right? And he has a dad. And he wanted to go to Cocoa Keys with them in the magazine because he saw the representation of his right there. So, and he was 4 years old. Would I think that he was thinking about that he found a picture in the magazine that depicts his life and he's telling me what he wants and where he wants to go with them? And it was just so funny. I didn't know what was Cocoa Keys. I had was to Google it.
I don't know what it is.
It was a water park. It was a water park.
But But, you know, yeah, we do talk down to our children, and it doesn't matter what the age is. Very, very often they live in their own intuitive selves. And if we could talk to that intuition, if we could talk to that heart and soul of them, we would find that all they are needing is the actual words to articulate how they're feeling. And that's where we can help with them. And, you know, I think it's also to teach our children, it didn't happen to you, it happened for you. What are you going to make out of this? How are you going to become strong? How are you going to become courageous? What skills are you going to learn from this to empower yourself? And, you know, that is hard for an adult to learn, but children, if you give it to them in that way, how is this going to make you stronger? Just think of all the ways that this is a test in life. How strong can you become from this? They will rise to that challenge.
They will, and it's so true, Sarah, because they love to feel empowered. They love to feel that they win. When you play a game with a child, how they get so upset and they cry if you win every time and they lose.
Yes.
And once they win a game, you watch how they jump and they get pumped up and they get. You know, because I win, and I realize it's teaching them how to become empowered.
Yes.
It's them for themselves. It makes them feel good. And when we feel good, what we do, we want to do more. We want to achieve more. You know, we ask for more because we want to get that same emotional feeling of feeling happy, feeling good, feeling belonged, and feeling loved, and feel like I have a home.
Yes. I think it's also, you know, movies like King Richard. I don't know if you've seen it. I highly recommend that you watch it with all of your boys, if not. You know, it's the recent one where Will Smith won the best actor award. Let's forget about the slap at the Oscars, but let's look at the acting. And it's on the, you know, on the Williams sisters on the tennis, and they came from Crompton, and you know their parents were determined they were going to have an education, they were going to be well-rounded, that tennis they were going to be dedicated to, but they weren't going to be just channeled into tennis and nothing else, that they were going to be prepared for what all the success of tennis was going to bring them. And they had a father, had a bit between the teeth, and he was not going to let go. But for him, it was stepping into a world of elite where really it was only the rich that could afford, you know, tennis lessons and everything else. And his whole negotiation of what he did to get his kids to get all of this, it was fascinating. And I think for anybody who feels they can't and that things are against them, it's a good movie to show that if you've got the determination, you're willing to put the work in, you're willing to be well-rounded and do it for the right reason, you can accomplish anything.
Oh, yes. And I just had a foster child who proved that to himself. He was in Kier, and, you know, he was going along. And just as, you know, as I mentioned before, a child on their journey and believing, and it was interrupted by the truth of their own realization that what I was told is not true. This is what the truth is. And his world just fall apart. And school began to fall apart. Few months later, he lost his dad. And everything went crashing. Then he found a girlfriend and he confided in her, and he spent more time with her than he was spending in school. And the agency decided at 19 that it was going to close his case, but I still maintained contact with him. I still supported him. He still come by and see me. And I still encourage him. I said, no matter what, if you have an IEP, this is now when you need to use it to the best of your ability, because it guarantees you to be in school until you're 21 years old. So you have up until 21 years old to get that diploma, not a GED, diploma. And he committed himself. Even when he started taking courses online, they start putting him in online classes for him to catch up. And believe it or not, this young man went out and he struggled. He paid for the classes. He get money. I help him pay for them. You know that he earned enough credit to get his diploma? He said, his class of 2022, he said, Mom, I would never believe it. I never myself. I always doubt myself. I always overthink stuff. I always second guess myself. I don't know no one in my family who graduated from high school, in my immediate family. And I always believed that I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I did it. All I want to say, Mom, is thank you and I love you.
Mm-hmm. And that's all that's needed to be said,
That's
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That's it.
That's the gold star. That's the gold medal right there. Seeing that child, you know, step into their own empowerment, believe in themselves, want something more out of life than just going, oh no, you know, it's not for me, never for me. You know, stepping out of that and believing, yes, they can.
Yes, he did it. Even the guidance counselor, when I called her to confirm if he had enough credit for graduation, and she said yes. And I started crying. She said, you know something, Miss Bowen, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't believe he was able to do it. But you know what I want you to do? I said, what? She said, get off of my phone before you start making me crying too.
You know, there lies the problem, though, when people just start categorizing people. You're poor, you're uneducated, you've had the knocks against you. You're just going to end up like that statistic I just talked about. How about we look at them and say, I believe in you, show me. Instead of, I don't believe in it, prove it.
Exactly. That, you know, the word, they are resilient, and, you know, the brokenness, and we don't expect them, they are not capable. I don't use those words when I talk to my, or I talk about them, because I see greatness within you. It is your birthright. You were born to be great.
Yes.
You see, whatever level it on, it's not my permission or my place to, you know, rate the level of what I think greatness is, or what do I think success is for this child. All I want you to do is to find the power within you to maximize your fullest potential and achieve what your dreams are, and go live.
I've been doing this 10 years now, and I know that the best coaches or the best teachers are those that have gone through the struggle. And for every one of those kids that broke through, that stepped up, that in their own self-discovery of their own self-worth and their own abilities, they become the best teachers and the best mentors for anybody else. And it's like that sense of pride, that sense of, it didn't matter what hurricane was against me, I used the hurricane to propel me forward. And this is where I am now.
Exactly. And for me, with education, it was so much a part of who I am, you know, that it didn't take me a while to catch on or to realize what was going on. Immediately, I realized what was going on. And it was just unacceptable that a child 17 years old cannot read their own correspondence when they get it in the mail. They're handing it to you and asking you to read it for them because they don't comprehend. They might glass over a few words, but the comprehension of the meaning of what the value of what the letter is saying to them, or the conversation that they are in, and one is speaking to them, or even the worst part of it, they would get into arguments sometimes with each other, and they would use words, and one would say to the other, spell it. You're using words you can't spell, which end up in an automatic fight, because that feeling again is bruised, hurt, and that all that emotion of unwantedness and blame. If I wasn't in this position, this would not be happening to me. So, yeah, so it's not about, yes, they need therapy, but I'm not a licensed therapist. But still, I'm an empowerment coach and a wellness coach. And that's what works. And I've seen that works over the past 15 years for children, that it really works when you allow them to find that light and flick that switch on for themselves.
You're more than that. You're a loving mama.
Yes, I am.
You're a loving mama first, who actually is a wellness and educational coach, right? Yeah. Without that loving mama, which is the very core of, I see you, I care for you, and now I'm going to fight for you.
Yes,
that is a mama.
Always a mama. I believe in you, and I know you can do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we have to believe for them until they're able to believe for themselves. You see, we can't easily give up because we believe, and they're not showing us that they believe, and they're not on board. We got to give them that time. Just keep on giving them all the nurtured and the nurturement that they need in order to grow and to blossom into the belief. Because bit by bit, as they travel their daily struggles and they have goals that they achieve and little stuff, is going to increase that belief more and more that, yes, I could do it.
Yes.
Once you just want that light to come on once or twice.
Yeah.
They're off to a good start.
What I'm finding in society now is there is a drive to dumb people down. There are so many people that don't read, and they're capable of reading. They just simply are too lazy. Want everything instant. Oh, you haven't got my attention, it's gone. And it's the glitter, the tinsel, the this, the that. And I can guarantee you every single person I've ever interviewed that followed that path realized how empty it was and literally walked away from it, or the cosmic 2x4, set them off in a new direction for them to truly understand what the real value and abundance and enrichment of life really is. And that really, the flame of that is love. Love of who you are, why you are, what you're here to do, your meaningful purpose, the love of community, the love of everything that you're doing in that community, your service. That is the love that's in every one of us. And if we can ignite that, then people stop tracing the illusion and they really start living in that flame of love that really can be quite intoxicating.
Oh, yes, can be so intoxicated. And once kids, and I learned that kids just want to feel that. Yes. They take they observe, they pay attention. And as the days go by and the longer they're in your care, you just watch the layer like onions. Those layers start peeling off. They get more comfortable. They come around. They talk more. They ask more questions. You see the life comes back in them. No more than, they come home, they go up to their room, or they come back and they eat and they quiet. You just see life. You just see a regular child start blossoming and just need that guidance and just that honesty and just that be transparent with them and just help them to understand what they're going through. And the journey, much lighter, much better for a lot of ones that understanding comes in. That talking, sometimes we don't feel like we're talking down to them, but we do in the words that we are using, or like I was reading someone post, I was in a group and someone post that the young lady was 13 years old and all she wanted is to watch some cartoon show. And she couldn't understand why a 13-year-old, you thought she would want to go to, start thinking about getting a job or doing this or doing that. But why watching cartoon? And my response was, do you ever stop to think that maybe it's the first time she had the opportunity to watch TV? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is, you and I don't see the need to do. Yes. She sees the because it's not her experience. She never lived that life. Maybe she's in foster care, but she's not allowed to watch TV because homes are different. And so this is maybe her first experience. So she's enjoying herself.
Oh, it could be a safe place, right? It could be their safe place.
Place for her. So instead of assuming or coming to a group to try to figure out why she is, it's about having the conversation with her.
I live by the Don Rose 4 agreements. Speak your word with integrity. Don't take things personally. That's other people's issue. You don't have to take it on. You can just give them compassion and love. Don't assume. Ask until you understand what the situation is. Your assumption is not needed. And the other thing is to simply do your best based on what your integrity says is your best. And if we could teach these codes to the kids and have, whoops, we've lost her again. Sorry, folks, we had another interruption, but I want to give you some statistics here. Did you know foster youth are one of the most vulnerable subgroups of children living in the United States? According to the foster care statistics and resources, approximately 443,000 children and youth are currently in foster care, and 30,000 of youth between the ages of 18 and 21 age out of the foster care. So in other words, they get kicked out of the support. Youth at risk have the highest high school dropout, and 70% of them are likely to go to college. They will make less money, and just the whole thing goes on and on and on. If we look at that number and think, why are there so many children in foster care? Really, as I said, we've got to go back to that root problem. We're seeing the same cycle over and over and over again, and we have to do something to stop it. Number one, we have to let our children know that we love them, even if family is going through difficult times. This is where the community needs to step in and help parents stay with their children, support the family so they can support the children. If it is very abusive and we have to take those children away, then they need to go to a home where they feel safe. First and primarily, feel safe. Safe enough to discover their own self-love, to try and understand what has happened, and that the empowerment is within them, with the support, the loving support from the foster care and community in order to build that child up. The only way we're going to change this cycle and bring those numbers down is through investing in our children, their well-beingness, their emotionalness, letting them know they care, and giving them an education that can give them a start in life of their own independence, their own empowering choices. We're in a world, and we're certainly in a country right now that wants to go back 100 years, take women's rights away, children's rights away, where guns are more important than children. And really, this has to come to a stop, doesn't it? This is the reason why I'm doing these shows, the reason why you're stepping up for boys. And we need to educate them. We need to let them know that they're loved. We need to empower them so they are the better human beings for the tomorrows. And they become part of the system of change that steps up and says, no, we're not going backwards anymore. So the more we invest in our boys and girls, but for you boys, the more we are actually setting the future in the right direction.
Yes, we are. And most of those children, as we go back to the root of parenting and seeing what is the trigger, what is the precipitating factors within that family unit, because when you go back and if they take the time to find out and do that assessment, most of those broken homes are children from the foster care system.
Yes.
Because they get out and they have their children, and it's recycling of those children going back into the system and becoming parent, and the brokenness continues. So it is very, very important that we get into the home structure. Yes, foster care can be involved with supervision and guidance, but it's finding out what is the skills that need to be taught. And it's not a choice. It's either you're going to learn the skills or you're going to honestly say, no matter how you taught me or teach me, I won't be able to be the parent that I'm supposed to be, and I need to be. At that point, there is nothing one can do, because this person is honestly saying with full transparency, no matter what you do, I will not be able to step up to the plate and be the mother that my children deserve or I can be. So for those reasons, then you would place kids. But I believe, yes, the system needs to incorporate that service delivery in the course of treatment for children. If we are going to see changes in the cycle of which these kids come into the system and how many kids are coming into the system, is to going back and also addressing the need with mom and dad, instead of just moving the children and moving them from one home to the next and one school to the next. And when they get 18 years old and they're legally responsible for themselves, oh, I could discharge you because you're a liability to me. And here we go again, they get tossed out on their own in the street. And here comes homelessness. Yeah. Because they're totally unprepared for life. Here comes, the sex trafficking ring. It's about just reading and understanding. And I tell people, yes, you tell people what you do for kids because it's very important. But I believe it's even more important to let people understand why I do what I do for them. Because statistics shows us, recent statistics shows us, kids from the foster care system is one of the highest concentration of traffickers that get swept up annually every year. 65 to 70% of kids get swept off the street into the sex trafficking ring, drugs, and no one looks for them. Why? Because they are not a minor anymore.
And they're just tossed away. Just tossed away. Yeah.
Children just go to waste, and then they washed up in the prison system, and the high rate of recidivism continues. They washed up on the not even unemployment line, because you don't work enough to collect unemployment.
Yeah.
So they don't even.
They go into the gangs, and they go into the other style of life, which is, you know, the bullet is waiting for them.
Yes, and people would not believe when you say, it's not that you want to sound like you're defensive, you know, in terms of what the system is, but I believe if we don't stop sugarcoating and tell the truth of what the struggles are, we can never fix or change if we don't speak about it. Yes. Even kids system, and they are on socials, they get SSI benefits. Those same kids that leave the system, that got it on their way out, a few months later, 3 months later, they lose it. I've seen kids lost their benefits and came back to me, and I took them back to SSI department, went over, bring the same paperwork back that the kid had. SSI sent the kid back to be evaluated by their psychiatrist. The same psychiatrist who evaluated him a few years earlier and said he was qualified to receive SSI, evaluated him and denied him. That's qualified for SSI. And those are the things that they go through. When this is a young man who struggled for years with homelessness, sleep in parks.
Yes.
Just around, he said, I just go to the park to make friends because I want to be able to follow someone home when it get dark. So we just hang around and I talk up to everybody, and I'm a social butterfly because I become that for my reason of looking a place to lay my head. But only to find out everyone that I try to inch behind to go home will say, no, bro, you can't come with me. My parents don't allow that.
Right.
And he said, I have to finally turn around and walk back to the park and lay on the bench because that's where I have to stay for the night. And people don't understand this is why you have to tell these stories.
Yes.
The idea that some people have that these kids are bad, they're in a program, they don't want anything good. If they pay attention and they were behaving themselves and accepting love and all the stuff that you imagine that they should accept, and they're refusing. So it's their fault, and it's the reason why they end up the way they end up. And they couldn't be further from the truth.
Right. Well, that's the political narrative to excuse the lack of what they're doing. You know, it's always let's blame something else and not take responsibility. And really what the responsibility is, they've dropped the ball on children altogether. And, you know, the fact that children age out at 18, they could be in the middle of a school year. They've aged out. That's it. You're out. You're on your own, right?
Even if a child has the academic ability and chose, I want to go to Princeton because they're that brilliant.
Right.
Because it is possible, because a lot of people don't believe that it's possible, what I just said for a child in foster care. Yes, it's possible, because I am one individual that refused to believe that they are not gifted. They are gifted. And if that child chooses to go to Princeton, know that once they sign into Princeton, they're homeless because they lose the foster care bed that they had. And they lose all the support that goes with them.
So they're penalizing them for their excellence, right?
Yes.
Instead of encouraging them to get that education and become a part of society that is solutional.
Exactly. And find a way to continue their support, because that's what we do when we have our children at home.
Yes.
We just don't go to college and forget about them. We support them until they come graduation or certification in, you know, a vocational training, you know, secondary education program. We just don't leave them.
Yeah.
But this is happening to a child. No child should be put in the position to choose a foster care bed, fear of homelessness over pursuing your education.
Right.
And achieving goals and dreams. But it happens. Or some children will try it, but end up dropping out of college because they have nowhere to go when they go on break.
Right.
They become homeless at break time, nowhere to go at break, food insecurity. They don't have a job. So yes, I'm getting books. So yeah, but dormitory, my financial aid cover all of that. But what happened when school is out of session? And for that, that pressure become too great for some kids and they dropped out. So you see all the hurdles, every step of the way, there is hurdles without support. And this is why support is so, so important. And ongoing support is so important for them to achieve their goal, because it's a lonely place for them.
Exactly. Just a statistic for people to know. 6 years ago, I did a few sex trafficking shows, and one of the numbers that came up was $155 billion a year globally goes in. That's what they know is in the sex trafficking or sex trade business. $155 billion a year. That was 6 years ago. You know, it's a great deal more. So there are always people who are going to take advantage of those that have been forgotten, those that have been tossed aside. They become the throwaway people that the vultures are ready to chew at. And if we don't stand up for those children, and if we don't help them right into that adulthood of standing on their own securely, sure-footedly, with a real direction to go in, we're hurting ourselves because we're hurting society.
Exactly. And we all live in society and they are our future.
Right.
And we have to prepare them that they could look back and live a life free from homelessness, a life free from in and out of the criminal justice system, a life free from traffickers, a life free of having stability in the employment and can economically gain an income to support themselves. Because most kids, they are found in the fast food industry. How much do they? Less than $7,000 a year. How does one live from $7,000 a year?
No, not especially with the way the prices are going up now. It's utterly ridiculous. We're going to see a hell of a lot more homelessness out there, and and it's just it's a losing battle right now because people are not prioritizing life over profit. And this is where government needs to step in, organizations need to step in, and we need to get our priorities right. Now, you offer a great deal of events. You've got Parent Talk, third Monday of every month. You have Reading Mondays, a students' book club. You have Global Leaders and Award Ceremony. You have Superheroes versus Supervillains Family Fest. You have the annual Black Tie Gala. And you've also got a 5K run coming up, which is to raise money and awareness as well. And that's coming up June 25th. Can you tell us more about that, please?
Yes, our 5K, our first annual 5K, because we've been planning it and watching COVID and planning and watching COVID and has to cancel it. We choose that event because we think it's a great event. It's an outdoor, it's family, it's community, community awareness, bringing the community together, bringing out the children together, whether they're in foster care or not, because I pitch the high school kids and just introduce them to other kids living other worlds and going through different stuff. So we are so happy that we finally get to put the 5K on the road, look like, and we know it's going to happen because we are almost there. Our reason for that, our goal is we sponsored 50 youths, because one of the things that I found out, I've heard it been buzzing in the community, but we're looking for, my school district is looking for a new superintendent, school superintendent. And one of the questions that was asked in the forum of the meeting, what is going to be done for foster youths in Bergen County? And it was a teacher husband, a special education teacher husband asked the question to the panel who are in charge in looking for the superintendent, that in my county, we have the highest rate of foster youths. And in the county of Burlington, we have the largest special education program.
And does the budget match it?
No, because the budget doesn't matter, because these kids get tossed away in alternative schools with the label of they have challenging behavior and challenging academic skills that they to be in these restricted environment that is not at grade level according to the federal guidelines and curriculum of what you teach a child in grade level and high school level. So we are just so happy that we were able to put the 5K together. We decided that our goal for the upcoming 22-23 school year, we're going to sponsor 50 youths. Excellent. To help them to progress. And the goal and the focus, the laser beam focus, is through mentoring, educational services, and support opportunities, getting them ready for colleges and secondary education with ongoing support until they complete their 2-year community college and want to go on, or they graduate from their vocational training program and obtain a job. Because we feel just graduating from high school and cut them off is still a failure. Because they are not in a position to go on their own to achieve a college education. And my experience have taught me that the support, it is needed, it is warranted. I've had a child who truly wanted to go to college, and he tried. But it became so nerve-wracking for him because he said, "Ma, I sat in the classroom and I'm looking around because I'm not hearing anything the teacher's saying, because I'm here processing myself. Do I belong here? Do I fit here? I'm not on the comprehension level. I'm not understanding the way they're understanding." Because of being in an alternative school, you were only able to spend the last year of high school in regular school. So for him, he was not ready for that space.
Yes.
And that should never happen to a child. Every child deserves, regardless of their circumstances, the opportunity to get a good education. So exactly. I'm so looking forward to kicking off our first annual, and that we'll make it an annual every year. We put down that 5K, looking for people to come out and support, understanding the cost that and what we're doing to support kids through mentoring, tutoring, support, educational support, services, opportunities, also internships. Because one of the things that I talk to kids about is wanting where their interests are, what do you want to pursue, and open them. Once you allow kids to explore, help them to explore and see what is out there, what is made up of it, what am I curious about it, am I good at it, let me try it and see if I fall in love with it and run with it. Right. So we do all of that, food insecurity and housing insecurity, and helping children to have a place to stay. If they choose to stay on campus and when they leave school, they have a place to stay. And we're working to partner with more colleges that we can create and having liaison on the campus to help them to get familiar with their setting and feel comfortable, developing up a community for them that I need help. I have my community, I have my village that I could go to and get the support that I need. I don't have to drop out, because we're going to tough it out and we're going to do it, because that's when it get tough, we're going to get going. And we just got to clear hurdles one at a time. So,
and you know, and the people that do clear those hurdles, those that have had the adversity, the pushback, the struggles, when they do achieve that accomplishment at the other end, I believe that it is 100 times more than what regular people would achieve, because of the struggles, because they knew what it took to get there, because exactly. Of all the adversity. And it's like, despite the hurricane, the tornado, the earthquake that my life has been, look what I've achieved. Look what I've achieved. There's the self-respect, there's the value of the education, there's the understanding of the impact of what it can do for you. And then there is the drive to take that education to have a good life.
Exactly, because here comes the leadership skills.
Yes.
Personal development, that personal empowerment, that believing in me. Here comes the leadership skills that I now know that I can do far more than I ever thought that I was capable of.
Exactly.
Yes.
So how do people sign up for the walk? And is it open to absolutely everybody?
Yes, the walk is open to everybody locally. And if you know people that are not local, they can go in and they could make a donation. Right. They'll make a play of a loved ones, and just make a donation, because no matter how small, all donation impacts change and provide the support that they need. So they could just go on the website www.Ruby's Foster Village and click on the link for the walk, because it's right up there.
And, you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about exactly where your donations go. You know, I have a list here, you know, that You provide, tutoring. $25 provides 1 hour tutoring. 50 provides a blessing box filled with enough food and toiletries for a week. $75 a comfort case full of clothing, shoes, and linens. And $125 enables a former dropout to take the GED. $500 pays for a semester for college books. $1,000 pays for 9 weeks of college meal plan. $3,000 pays for 1 semester of community college. $5,000 provides 1 year's scholarship for a dormitory housing. $11,000 pays for a fully year of college tuition, room and board for that foster child. So you know where the money is going. You know how it is supporting, and that is, I think, important, in today's society, because a lot of people have been asking for donations, and half the time you don't know where it's going. And to actually know, I know this is doing this. And, for a lot of people, coffee has got so expensive now. You can spend $10 on a cup of coffee. How about putting that $10 monthly into a system that you know is going to have an impact?
Yes. I encourage people, no donation is too small. $5, $1, no too small. It all adds up, and it all make a difference, and it's all appreciated. It is all appreciated and in the good of someone's life. Because sometimes you might not know the child, but believe me, someone else read that story, and because of your kindness, it transforms someone else's life.
Precisely. And we have to, Ruby's foster village. Folks, it used to be a village that raised a child. Everybody in that village looked out for that child. This is, well, I'm just going to take care of my own, and I don't care about anyone else. If we're not going to take care of our community and everybody else's child, this is where we end up with a broken and dysfunctional community. It is up to each and every one of us, whether you can do it financially, whether you can do it by volunteering, because you accept volunteers, whether you can do it by inspiration, coming up with a brilliant idea to help raise the money. All of this helps, because the more we're able to help children at risk on any level, the more we empower them, the more they step into society becoming a solution, not a burden, not a constant cycle that we have seen. We break that cycle, and that next generation of youth will be people that will really be driving force the change that is needed in society.
The change, and just to be a part of that change. It doesn't matter how small, where we are. Some people said, oh, I won't be able to attend, so I can't. I'm sorry. No, you don't have to attend. You don't have to be there. Yes, we would love you to be there, but we understand that everybody doesn't live locally in the area where the race is going to be at, or the dinner, or the luncheon, or whatever it is, or the walk is going to be at. But there is something that we all can do. Not everyone can be a foster mom, but there is always something that we all can do that will impact change in that child's life, or the children's or youth or teen's life. So we, just knowing that what you do is changing someone, and it's a chain reaction. We just continue to change and just continue to change. One of the most profound and beautiful story that I've read was this young man. He said when he was in foster care, his dad, he says sometimes at night when his emotion and his anxiety overcomes him, and he would just get up sometimes and go in the kitchen or the living room and sit down. He said his foster dad just would wake up and come outside and sit with him. He would warm a cup of milk, one for him and one for his dad. And he said he never asked him why. He never asked him a question. He never asked him why. He just sat there with him and just show him comfort and love. And ask, you're ready to go back to bed. Or if he get up and walk away and decide, say, Dad, I'm going back to lay down, his dad would go back to his room. And he said it meant so much to him that his dad passed away, and he has begun to live his dream and own his own business. And he said he went to the cemetery to visit his dad. But what did he do? He said, I brought a business card. I bought one of my business cards, and I laid at my dad's headstone, and I thank him for who he allows me and help me to become. It's one of the most profound stories.
Yes. The big word there is gratitude. And, if we can show our children that Even in every lesson, there's something to be grateful for. Even in every struggle, there's something to be grateful for. When you can step into the empowerment of not your situation, but what your situation can show you you can be. When you step into that strength and that courage, and somebody's there to invest in your ability, somebody sees something in you that you don't see in yourself, and they're there to show you, that they believe in you. They're there to show you how to see yourself. And then you take that onus and that responsibility to step into that light yourself. Just imagine the beacon of light that you are for everyone else.
Oh, yeah, that's magic. Oh, yes. I didn't know my own strength. How do I turn pain into strength? It's magic.
It
That's
is.
all to help them is to click that light, that magic that comes on, because they begin to explore that they can be all things if they choose, because they're simple the possibility of anything that they choose to become.
Exactly.
With love, support.
Love and support. Now, this show is under also the Supporting the Supporters. It's a platform that we're doing here at Self-Discovery Media and the orchardofwisdom.org. And the Supporting the Supporters are the organizations that have stepped up to be there in support of whatever their chosen field is. And I invite you to go and look at our Supporting of the Supporters and all the wonderful people that have stepped up to help other people in their lives. Because if we're not there to invest in other people, if we're not there to help others stand up and be that light in their own lives, we're going to be forever living in darkness, folks. And this constant spiral of pain and anguish and suppression and depletion is going to only get worse. So by supporting the supporters, you are helping them support those that they have dedicated their lives to, and helping people stand tall in their own lives. People who have stepped into that light, standing tall in their own lives, I tell you something, they're the biggest supporters, mentors, and givers back that you'll ever see. And the change that they bring about to their lives and bring about to others is truly exemplary. So let us invest in them. And also we're going to be, hopefully this year, I don't know when, because again, it's a single hat I'm wearing here, or all the hats here, but we're going to be having a book, The Forgotten Children, where I've invited a few people to participate a chapter, and Novelette is going to certainly contribute a chapter in there on foster boys. And that is to bring awareness to all our beautiful children that we have forgotten and just left aside, and all of the proceeds that will go to supporting the supporters and the work that they do. So please look out for that. You're doing, I mean, you come from the heart. You are the big mama. You know, you are that big heart that the boys are drawn to. You encourage them through love by letting them know that they matter. They matter, and you care for them, and you love them, and you're there to support them. And these are the directions that you've laid open for them to walk. They've got to walk it. That's their choice. But when they're loved so much, when they're supported so much, they want to walk it because somebody believes in them.
Oh, yes. And they also begin to believe, because a lot of times kids not acting or doing, and we believe that it's because of something else, because they're crippled by their own emotions.
Yes.
I can't do something that I don't believe I'm capable of. I can't do something that I don't believe that, because if my mom don't care and my dad don't care, so why do you care? No one cares. So I don't have to do it. I don't care. And we'll get that a lot, but don't really believe that or take that to be the value of that child. We hear pain speaking.
That's defense.
And how we play that pain, that mechanism defense, and their coping skills, negative as it is, but it's a coping skills that keep them going. You know, I have a child once that was an alternative program, and once he began coming in respite and he asked to live with me, and the agency asked me if I would take him, and I create more space and I take that child in. And I happened to went to the school one day and we had a meeting, and one of the teachers was very surprised to see me. She said, "Oh, it's you." She said, "The only thing that I could say in this meeting to describe this child, he was night, he's now day."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was just all through love, all through helping him to believing in himself.
Yes.
In that bubble of doing anything, just take your time. Just take your time. Because It's going to take you a while to transition from here to here.
Mm-hmm.
But know that I'm here. When you fall, I'll catch you.
This is a loving, safe space.
Yes, it's a safe space. Yes.
And that's the important thing. Don't we all want to be loved? Don't we all want to love someone else? Don't we all want to love life and why we're here? Isn't love literally the generator and the flame that has everybody doing things in life? And these children have known pain, they've known hate, they've known anguish, they've known neglect, they've known rejection. And let's spark the love in them. Let's spark that love in them, because once that heart starts to beat in belief of love, a love in themselves, somebody else loves me, somebody else cares for me. They start caring for themselves. They start loving for themselves. They start seeing the possibilities. They start seeing the opportunities, and then they go for them with your enthusiasm. Let us do that to all of our children, and most certainly the forgotten children. Really, please, please let's stop tossing our children out, and let's start investing in them.
Investing in them and just giving them the opportunity and sending them that self-discovery and understanding. Oh, it's not me. Yeah. Because if she, whatever they were holding on to over here and blaming themselves and wondering if they are the problem, why dad left, why mom didn't want me, why this happened, why this state took me from my parents. Just you loving them, it's all in itself can dismiss that belief that it wasn't me.
Yes.
Because if he loves me, so it could not be me over here.
Right.
Because I'm a child, because I'm getting love over here. So sometimes it's just as simple as that. People think, well, you got to get into the therapeutic book and you got to get into psychology. Not that is not needed, and I'm not discounting it because it's needed. But some people believe that that is what is needed to bring about change. And I'm here to tell you, after 15 years, not what is going to bring that change is that I matters. I see you. I hear you. And I love you.
And you count.
And you count. And you are capable of becoming, doing anything that you choose to become. We are not rating it on the scales. No. We just want to hear that you are capable of doing and achieving anything that you choose to become.
And we're there for you.
And we're there for you. Simple that.
Yes.
Come and all of that and all the medication that you give and all of that can come. You will watch that light stay dim. And they just pull back within themselves. You're speaking and their heads are down.
Yeah.
But once you help them to start that cutting in on that layer, and they become comfortable and understand and believe. Now you telling them, they believe, yeah, she's here for me. Yes. She's going to be for me. It's okay. I can be me. I can discover who I am. I can dream. I could talk about my dreams and people look at me as if I'm weird, because I'm in foster care. Because for some reason, some people has this belief that children in foster care is not capable of accomplishing what you and I or their children can accomplish.
And they're even capable of having a dream.
Dream, yeah. Yeah, what are they talking about? They know they can't do that. They know they can't do this. No, they can do anything they put their mind to. Just be there for them to support them.
Yes, exactly. And we know that people of color, children of color, get it worse. Ethnicity gets it worse. That is also screaming out to society. Why? Because you're not investing in the communities. You're not investing into the solution. You're just band-aiding the problem or labeling it and just dismissing it, right? So if we want to change that narrative, excuse me, we have to change how we invest, how we see people. Let's see people for who they are, heart, body, mind, soul, right? And let's treat them that way. So
treat them that way. Yes.
5K run, whether you can be there or not, you can donate. Whether you're supporting the run or not, you can donate. You go to rubiesfostervillage.org. rubiesfostervillage.org. You can go to Novelette Bowen on Facebook. On Instagram, it's Ruby's Foster Village. And
We're
also,
Twitter.
sorry?
We're also on Twitter and LinkedIn.
Okay, I haven't got those, but I'm going to get them from you. And Ruby's Foster Village org donate. You know, like, you know, I'm not going to have that latte for $6 or $7 today. I'm going to donate. I'm going to donate that. You know, I call it the Netflix syndrome. You pay $8, $10 a month, and look at all the shows that you get. And everybody pays that. And really, it's not, for the amount of entertainment we got, it's nothing. But look how it adds up, right? So a few bucks every month, you know, $5, $10 out there. And look at the difference that you can have and the impact that you can have out there. So.
Exactly. Instead of we streaming Discovery, streaming the life of a human being, that is so deserving of it, because we are paying it tenfold.
Yes.
You know, we're giving $100 is us giving $100. But look at the chain reaction of the change that $100 costs as we go up. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Let's put the money where the value is. Investing in our children. Let's show them we care, that we do love them. We are there for them. We're there to support them. We believe in them. We know they can do it. They can achieve anything that they want to do because they know they have the abilities, because we've shown them that they've got those abilities inside of them. Let's build them up to be the human beings that we want them to be, which is standing tall in their own light, their own self-esteem, their own self-love, because I promise you, they will ripple that love out in everything else that they do.
Everything that they do. And we have seen it, because for those who have made it and come back as alumni and talk about their life and getting that love and being the nurturing father or mom or aunt, or begin to go back and raise their siblings, they see it, because the story, when you hear the story, where I came from and what I got, what I'm delivering.
Right. And you know what? If you want to be a sponsor, folks, she has sponsorship opportunities as well. And there's an awful lot of people out there with a great deal of money. And, you know, I've said, I don't care if you're rich. That's great that you're rich. How about you take some of that and seed opportunities for other people? You could spread those seeds around, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes. And sow them in your community, because no matter how or what our situation is, or we as a people, not government, we as a people is going to make the change that is required. And it starts within our communities. I see our communities like villages.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And we start there to spread the wings of changes and give it a voice and give it a platform. Because that's the only way we're going to ignite change.
Exactly. We are the change we seek. Don't go, oh no, that a government can do it, or that organization can do it. There's three thinkers pointing back at you folks saying, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to contribute? You know, Novelette and Ruby's village, foster village, may be miles away from you. And you think, well, that's that area. I don't need to do anything. It's in every area. Whether you're supporting her or you're supporting your local area, it's everywhere. Everywhere. And the more we support everybody that's doing the work, that's given their lives to do the work, to bring about these beautiful human beings to stand up in life and be something, the better our communities are going to be. Please, folks, invest in life.
One youth at a time. Yes, invest in, I love that. Invest in life.
That's what it's all about.
I truly believe that is what we came here to do.
Yes.
Is to leave this world a better place. And how do we leave this world a better place? Is by investing in each other. I see life like a relay as we move along, 800 or 400 relay. And in my stretch, I do all that I can do to bring forth good and more good. And as we do that, we end up in a more better place, a safer place, where our children can go to school and come home, where we could go to church and worship and come home. We could go to synagogues. We can go to supermarkets. Because we have a better world, instead of people harboring and just growing up in pain and unresolved issues that they are just mad with the world and don't know how to handle those pain. Just let's get together and start serving our community where it's needed most, and it's in our children.
And let's stop blaming all of those children, saying, oh, mental health, mental health. How did they have the mental health issue? abandonment. You know, they didn't feel safe, or they didn't feel loved, or they didn't feel wanted. They felt left out. And in that anger and frustration and lack of articulation, they go to the weapons that are far too easy for them to buy. And then they just mow life down to try and make themselves feel better, which doesn't work for anyone.
Yes. There's just so much triggers that manifest itself into that moment that we see, and everybody come up with what they think's happened and what occurs, but not the rules, the real sense and the truth of what really happened. You know, I always talk about these stories because I do a lot of research and I watch. I was watching a program with Van Jones, a CNN program where they were talking about like working with prisons, inmates, and community members. And this specific program was about getting inmates to meet back with the person they hurt.
Yeah.
That wanted was to meet with them. And I remember this guy, he said he was so angry when he met with I believe that the officer was a detective, and they got an encounter and he shot him and almost killed him. And what he was explaining to the ex-officer at the time, the man says, "What did I do to you?
Yeah.
Why did you do that to me?" He said, "You didn't do anything to me. I didn't know you." But the rage that was inside of me, it happened to be you. But anyone that was available at my disposal would have gotten it that day.
Yeah.
And he began to talk about his pain and foster care in his childhood, of how his mom would left them for days with his younger brother and never came back. Mm-hmm. And how he had to search garbage can to find food to feed his younger brother to stay alive. And they would sit in the steps in these dark abandoned buildings and wait.
Yeah.
So that pain, you see how it transfers?
Yes.
And how it goes right back into, he didn't say he was mentally ill. He talks about the unresolved pain that triggers that anger, that resentment, not having an education, not being at that level where he could sit down and really rationalize or go get the treatment or speak to someone about what is going on. It's about, I'm mad at the world and I'm mad with everyone else because I feel rejected and wanted and unwanted. Who cares? I don't care if I go to jail. Nobody worries about me. No, I don't matter. And those are the mentality cemented, these thoughts a lot of time for children that get them into that state of mind where they find value into something, although it's a killer. It doesn't deserve them any good, but that's where they find comfort in because of that pain.
They're trying to kill the pain.
Yes, so get blinded by the pain and just subscribe to the wrong information. You have people out there that whatever their situation is, that put them in that position, is looking to recruit someone else that is coming up. And as long as we continue not to help kids to resolve these issues at a young, impressionable age where we can help them to resow those tracks and develop more into healthy human beings, we're going to continue to have these issues up the road. So there's a whole lot of system beside just the mental health piece needs to be reassessed and see how we can re-engage and incorporate all who need to be in this community to make this a success.
Yeah, it's everybody's problem. I don't care where you are. You're in an affluent area. I don't care who you are, where you are, what you are. It affects everyone. The ripple effect affects everyone. And we're all in this. And that means every single one of us has to step up and do something. So, folks, remember, it's Ruby's Village, Foster Village rubiesfostervillage.org, rubiesfostervillage.org. Support the 5K run, support her organization. Do you want to be an organization that sponsors her? She's going to be a part of the book down the road as soon as I get that going. You can find her here on Supporting the Supporters. Let's support this woman who's literally giving her life to these boys with love, with attention, so that they can have a better life and be a better part of society. And the more investment we see in our kids, the better society we're going to see in the future. Novelette, my darling, always a delight to have you.
Always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
My pleasure. So folks, please let us all step up and be the solution. Every single one of us can in one way or the other, whether you're volunteering locally, whether you are supporting anything in any way, look to how you can support and financially support. Ruby is in her area, help her in her area. She's helping the boys there. And you may have somebody in your area. Please don't turn a blind eye and go, la, 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 it's got nothing to do with me. It's got something to do with every single one of us. Until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or selfdiscoverymedia/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom. And the next show will be up in just a moment.